Alright, this is our third video in our series on comparative systems of government. Our first two videos chronicled the evolution of totalitarian from its origins in the natural state. And we showed the different progression of levels and complexity. The idea of a single ruler to a political party ruler. The mistake is to think those are the only options they are some form of authoritarian government. Instead, we also have democratic governments. And so what we want to do is go through the options of a democratic government that have existed throughout history, and then the characteristics that make it unique to a democracy rather than an authoritarian one. First of all, democracy is founded on two principles of government. The first is equality, the idea that all men are created equal. And those are the words espoused by the Declaration of Independence that are so critical and so unique to this American experience. Now, obviously, when we say men, we mean mankind. At the time, a good argument could be made that they truly did mean just men. The second principle is freedom, the idea that individuals have the right to self-determination, the right to choose their own path, or again, in the words of the Declaration of Independence, to pursue happiness. Now, in order to have a democracy, we require a constitution, and a constitution is a contract. In the terms of Locke and Hobbes, a social contract between citizens and a government, whereby we list what we're trading. So if you think back to the reason we need a government, we're really talking about why we need to have something that is there to protect us. And the protection is not exclusively from other governments. In all honesty, most of the protection is from each other. And so what we do is we give up freedom and we get protection. Easy examples: I would like to speed, I enjoy driving fast, but I don't want everyone else driving fast as well, especially when I'm, for example, taking my son out for a bike ride. So I give up my freedom to drive as fast as I want in order to have the protection that the government is limiting everyone's freedom so that it's safer on the streets. In addition, this Constitution lists the rule of popular sovereignty, the idea that the citizens are the ones who rule. Now, granted, we elect people because we have a representative democracy, not a direct democracy. And the people are the ones who ultimately are making decisions. We don't have a figurehead ruler. We don't have a royal family. Citizens, in addition, have legal rights that are spelled out in the Constitution, things that the government must adhere to, that the government must follow up on, things that they have to protect for us from the government itself, which is very, very different ideologically from those authoritarian governments. If we think about it this way, the citizens are the most important part of society, and the government is there to do the bidding and to help the citizens. In an authoritarian government, the citizens are there to serve the government or the leader. And so we see the difference in a top-down versus a bottom-up approach. We focus on the rule of law, which means everyone, especially the government, is required to follow the rules that society has set forth. In fact, the government has to adhere to the rules and the laws even more strictly than citizens do. And we expect that when the government does something wrong, we, the citizens, can petition them and force them into compliance with their own rules. All right. A couple of different types of democracies then we're going to go through. We have a constitutional monarchy, as we would find in Great Britain, a direct democracy in ancient Athens, and a representative democracy, which we have today. So we look at our questions again. The first is, who is going to make decisions? And in a constitutional monarchy and a representative democracy, we see citizens vote for people who will represent them. In a monarchy, we're not voting for the leader. In the United States, we are the president. But the most important part of a democracy is not actually the main head, in our case Obama. It is the people in our Congress, or in the case of Great Britain, the Parliament. And we are voting for those representatives who will help us. In a direct democracy, we're going to have it slightly different. Crafting public policy, meaning when we make the actual laws, when we make the decisions that everyone has to live by, who does that? Well, in a constitutional monarchy and a representative democracy, it's the same thing. Again, those people we elect will make decisions. So we don't actually make the laws as citizens. We elect people to make laws for us. In a direct democracy, all citizens discuss policy. And you notice that this came under crafting policy and not decision makers, Because in a direct democracy, the citizens are the decision makers because they all vote, which is the deciding portion. So how do we decide? Okay, in both the outside ones, we see that representatives vote on policy. So again, they're the ones that are making the decisions. In ancient Athens, in a direct democracy, the citizens vote on the public policy itself. So they make policy, they vote. Now in a smaller community, you can do this, townships, city councils, things like that, because there aren't as many people. In a nation of 320 million people like the United States, how do you get them to come up with a law? Because everyone is going to find fault with some language in a law. And then lastly, the leadership. In a constitutional monarchy, we have a hereditary leader, so someone who is born into it, but their ability to rule is strictly limited by the Constitution. In fact, in Great Britain, the royal family are really just very, very rich people that are figureheads. They have almost no political authority at all anymore. In a direct democracy, there is no leader because everyone is actually equal. Now, everyone that's a free citizen, you'll talk about Athenian democracy next year in World Studies, but for our purpose, we'll just talk about the fact that there is no direct titular leader, no titular leader, so nobody that has a title. And the last one, leadership. In the representative democracy, we vote for a president as citizens. And we'll talk about how we actually don't directly vote for them. We still have representative voting for the president. All right, hope you enjoyed.